Indiana Pacers are currently down 3-2 against the OKC Thunder, and this is a terrible situation for this team. Now, they could come back and they could make this a Game 7 series. We're going to talk about both teams here, but this is a review of Game 5. We're partially going to talk about Game 4 as well. But let's start off with the Pacers here. The Indiana Pacers lost this game 109-120. The biggest story right now, outside of J-Dub having 40 points, which we're going to get to in the second half of this video, is the fact that Tyrese Haliburton was limping for pretty much the entire game. Early in the matchup, he slips, he falls down, he hurts his leg. There were reports about him limping coming out of a press conference a couple of days ago, early on in the series. And I look at it from this standpoint. When you look at Tyrese Haliburton, he is not known to be a scorer or to be an elite shooter. That's not his game. He's a facilitator. He's one of the best playmaking point guards in the NBA. A lot of that is because his quickness and how he's able to move in and outside the paint. He's not able to do that if he's dealing with a leg injury. And we saw that tonight. This man was 0 of 6 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. He had 4 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He also had 3 turnovers. I wanted them to sit him down for the rest of the game. When I saw TJ McConnell come in and he had that amazing burst of energy, 18 points in 22 minutes, they should have stuck with TJ McConnell. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, their offense isn't the same. Well, Tyrese Haliburton has dealt with injuries before. In the Eastern Conference Finals last year against the Boston Celtics, he was dealing with injuries. Who did they put in? Andrew Nembhard. They ran their offense through him. He was their point guard. Now, Nembhard is not a better point guard than Tyrese Haliburton, but he's had his moments. Look at what happened in Game 1. They went from Tyrese Haliburton late in the fourth quarter. They go to Andrew Nembhard. He hit that crucial 3 with 2 minutes remaining. He has his moments, and he's a very good glue guy in terms of going out there and getting his teammates involved on certain possessions. You're not going to constantly have the overwhelming plays where they run up and down the court over and over again because Tyrese Haliburton is one of the best passers in basketball. But at least it gives you some breathing room with TJ McConnell, a man that could come in and score. He knows the defense with the OKC Thunder, and Nembhard, who would take any type of big shot that you give him. We've seen him do this before in the past. But I look at Tyrese Haliburton. If he's dealing with this injury going over into Game 6, sit him down. I know that sounds crazy, but you don't want him to just go out there and hurt your offense anymore. He hurt them in tonight's matchup. And I've said this about Tyrese Haliburton in the past. In every single series, he's hit a big-time shot against the Bucks, against the Cavaliers, against the New York Knicks. I view him as a star. I believe that he's one of the better guards that you can have, but he's injured right now. The same thing happened with Darius Garland with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Sit these players down if they're dealing with injuries. I know that the championship is on the line, but you're doing more harm than good to your entire team. And I really hope that Tyrese Haliburton is okay. I hope that he can bounce back in Game 6, possibly Game 7. I still think that this series will go to a Game 7. I predicted this. So we'll see what happens. But on that front, Tyrese Haliburton did not have the best night. One of the worst games in his career due to that injury. Obi Toppin has been Mr. Consistent in this series. Tonight's matchup, that was not the case. Has some good defensive moments, don't get me wrong. He's a Skywalker. He'll go out there, he'll finish the live passes, he'll finish at the rim. He's a freakish athlete. This may be crazy to say. He's the best athlete in this series on either team. This man's phenomenal with his athletic ability, but his three-point shot has been his bread and butter in the postseason. Not in this game. He was 1 of 5 from 3, 5 of 11 from the field, only had 12 points. They did a very good job of overwhelming him and hugging that three-point line over and over again. And that's the defense for the OKC Thunder. When you look at the assist totals, this tells you everything about this matchup in Game 5. OKC had 24 assists. The Pacers had 23. When you look at certain games in this series, the Indiana Pacers will at least beat them by 5 to 10 assists because they go out there and they pass that basketball around. They're not standing in place. The ball movement wasn't the same because your point guard is dealing with that injury. And also because of this, the OKC Thunder's defense is starting to overwhelm this team. And we're seeing it game after game. In Game 1, they wore down on them first, second, third, and even the fourth quarter. The Pacers just came back. In Game 2, they wore them down. They blew them out in that matchup. In Game 3, they were wearing them down, but the Pacers, they were able to bounce back. They were able to fight. It's only so much that you can do when they're clogging up the passing lanes over and over again, and they're filling in those gaps. This is what they did to Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is what they did against the Denver Nuggets and Jokic, one of the best big men that we've ever seen. They put a hurt on him the entire time. They made life hell on him. So I look at Pascal Siakam. You won a championship before with the Toronto Raptors. You were essential in that series. You had 28 points in tonight's matchup, 9 of 15, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. I'll say this about Pascal Siakam. They need him to go out there and they need him to do more. I know that's crazy. The man had 28 points. You still need more from him because he is that leader of the Indiana Pacers right now. He is that veteran that you turn to. Certain situations in this series, and it's not just game 5, it's not just game 4. Going back to game 1 and game 2, they'll have Cason Wallace on him before they decide to start Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, to where he has these smaller defenders and he's not finishing at the rim because he's looking to pass out the post. I love what he did in tonight's matchup. Be more aggressive. If you have Cason Wallace on you, the same with Alex Caruso, go up on them. They're smaller defenders. They're elite defenders on the perimeter. But Pascal Siakam, he's bigger, he's stronger, he just has more height. Take those shots over them. And I know that it is a bit tricky because we've seen Alex Caruso go out there and he'll be on the post one-on-one with Jokic, and Jokic takes him to the rim. Here comes Isaiah Hartenstein. Here comes Chet Holmgren. They'll rotate over. And that standpoint there, you have to have the wherewithal and the ability and the awareness to pass out. Go to Obi Toppin in the corner, something that they did in the first quarter. They got away from that throughout this series, and certain times you can't do that. Find the wide open man and get there. There are certain ways to go out there and defeat this defense. And the Pacers, they've done this before by just outpacing the OKC Thunder, by going up and down the court over and over again, shooting those threes, finishing at the rim. Just be more patient. You don't have to go out there and run 100 miles a minute every single time. It was a situation to where the OKC Thunder, they challenged the play. You look at Pascal Siakam. He wants the basketball immediately just to throw the basketball down the court. You can't do that. Just go out there, chill out, take your time. Because now the Pacers, they're trying to outpace themselves. And that's what happened early on in game 1. Just a bunch of dumb turnovers. And you can't have that against the OKC Thunder. The same way the Pacers will make you pay against the New York Knicks, the same against the Cavaliers and the Bucks. They have a turnover. It's automatic 2 to 3 points. That's the case right now with the OKC Thunder. You had 22 turnovers. It's a nice matchup. That should never happen to your 23 assists. The 3-point shot, it was there. You hit 37% of your 3-point shots. The OKC Thunder, they did hit 44. That's rare for them. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, but they will go out there and they will have games that'll make you question and say, hey, do we need to step up more? And tonight's matchup, you should have on Lou Dort, the same on Aaron Wiggins, and especially with J-Dub. Far as the defense here, Ben Mathurin. We go back to game 4 here. Ben Mathurin had a 27-point game in this series. Phenomenal. Him and TJ McConnell, they came off the bench. They look very good. We've seen Ben Mathurin in the past throughout the playoffs before. He'll go out there. He'll have some big-time production, especially against the New York Knicks. The last couple of games there, he averaged over 20 points a game coming off the bench. He's not a superstar. I don't want that to get lost into what I'm about to say here. But he's a very good player. For Ben Mathurin to only have 7 points and 8 rebounds and to be 2 of 11 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3, that should never happen. He was taking a lot of dumb shots. And I look at Ben Mathurin. Your defense hasn't been the best either. Because going back to the game before, where Shea had 15 points in the fourth quarter, you're having dumb fouls over and over again. You can say that Shea is foul baiting. That's how you feel about it. That's how you feel. I look at it as a skill. It's a part of basketball. Ben Mathurin is a disciplined defender. He's starting to go out there and have a lot of dumb moments on J-Dub, and the same with Shea. If you know that your arm is extended, you can move your arm and you can still contest. He's just going out there and he's just grabbing Shea's arm over and over again in the post. It was so many times in game 4 to where he's fouling late in the fourth quarter. They get a free throw. They get the ball back. He's fouling before the ball gets inbounded. Ben Mathurin is better than this. But I look at the rest of the players here. Neesmith, Nembhard, they need more out of those players for sure on the offensive end. But your defense, you're going to have to do a better job at going in terms of going against Shea, and the same with J-Dub. Both of those players are giving you hell right now. You did a good job early on against J-Dub, but J-Dub had 40 points tonight, and the same with Shea. He had 31 points. They combined for 71 points. 9 times out of 10, when a dynamic duo has a game like that, you're going to lose the matchup. But I go back to the game before. The Pacers, you had that game won. If you lose this series, everyone's going to go back to that game because you had it won, home court advantage. It is just rare to see them have that type of moment late in the fourth quarter, especially this postseason run with how great they've been in terms of closing out games and coming back in certain matchups against those teams that I mentioned before. As far as OKC here, masterclass. Once again, he outcoaches Rick Carlisle. Goes out there, he's putting players in the right situations. They're finding ways to weigh them down. They smelt blood. As soon as Tyrese Haliburton went down with that leg injury, they said, you know what? We're not going to worry about Tyrese Haliburton. We're going to go out there. We're going to make life hell on everyone else on the offensive end with the Pacers. We're going to comfort Nembhard as much as possible. Pascal Siakam, we're going to give him problems. But Miles Turner and Nesmith, we're going to make them earn it. And Nesmith did have 14 points on good efficiency. He shot 5 of 9 from the field. Ben Mathurin, like I mentioned before, the same with Obi Toppin. They did a very good job of making sure that they did not have those many open threes over and over again. As far as TJ McConnell, he scares the hell out of me. He scares the hell out of me for the simple fact he comes off the bench. He has these moments where he may go out there and he may have 20, 25 points any given night. But it didn't matter in this matchup because as soon as they'll go on the run with TJ McConnell, he comes in, or the same with Pascal Siakam. Here comes J-Dub hitting down a three. Here comes Shea hitting down a three. Here comes Aaron Wiggins from the corner, hitting down a three. Here comes Alex Caruso, crucial steal. All of those players, they're starting to gel together. And the same struggles that they had early on in this series, when they lost those 2 games against the Pacers, they had the same struggles against the Denver Nuggets. Look at how that series ended. I always go back to game 6 in that series, and I look at J-Dub, had a terrible game. In game 7, he balled out on the defensive end and the same on the offensive end. I'm very proud of J-Dub. I'm a huge J-Dub fan. I hate the hate that he got because of the fact he had that terrible game 6 against the Denver Nuggets. This man came out tonight. He had those 40 points. He made everyone that had a lot of doubts about him in the past, he made them shut up. 14 and 25 from the field, but the 3-point shot, 3 of 5 from 3. And pardon me, SGA, he did not make a 3 in tonight's matchup. He was 0 for 3. But you look at what he was able to do in terms of maintaining the game and getting to the free throw line over and over again. And it does bring up this point right here in terms of who will go out there and who will possibly be the team MVP in this series. Shea had a lot of great games early on. But look at J-Dub. He has been so clutch in the last couple of games for the Pacers. He just deserves to be put into the same conversation in terms of being a game changer with Shea. Shea is a better player than him. Don't get me wrong. But just look at what J-Dub's been able to do on both ends of the court. It's been phenomenal. Far as the double big lineup, it's working. Having Chet and having Isaiah Hartenstein start together is working out for them. They're slowing down the Pacers. They're going out there. They're getting those rebounds over and over again. And the Pacers had more rebounds in tonight's matchup than the OKC Thunder. But they're getting more physical up front with Isaiah Hartenstein and the same with Chet. And it's not always about point production. It's not always about rebounds. You look at the certain screens that Isaiah Hartenstein is setting at the top of the key. It's insane. He's setting some hard screens on Nesmith and the same with Andrew Nembhard. Now, I will say this to call it fair. The referees have been terrible in this series to both of these teams, to the Pacers and the same with the OKC Thunder. You can say that they're letting those guys play, sure. But it's a lot of screens on both sides to where I'm just tilting my head. I'm like, is that not an illegal screen? But look at Isaiah Hartenstein. He's setting the screen so hard to where Shea, he just gets that open space. He goes to the mid-range, knocks down the shot. You look at Chet Holmgren. The jump shot has been terrible in this series, especially the 3-point shot. But he's able to finish at the rim at certain times. You want him to be more efficient going forward. But right now, he's doing his job in terms of just going out there, grabbing rebounds, finishing at the rim when he needs to. The same with him and Isaiah Hartenstein. But Alex Caruso, only 2 points tonight, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. The man had 4 steals. He had 20 points in the last matchup. Alex Caruso is going to go down as one of the most weird players in NBA history for the simple fact that this man is not viewed as a superstar. But he has been an essential player every place that he's been. With the Los Angeles Lakers, was amazing with that team in terms of perimeter defense. With Chicago Bulls, he was in the basement of the NBA because the Bulls, they're a bad team right now. But he played great defense and he'll have his moments on the offensive end. The OKC Thunder struck gold in that trade when they traded Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls to bring in Alex Caruso. One of the best trades that were made this offseason. And you love to see it work out for the OKC Thunder. There is no way in hell that Josh Giddey was going to be able to go out there and work out with Shea and the same with J-Dub because he was a cone on the defensive end and he just doesn't have a good jump shot. But you look at Alex Caruso, he can play on ball, he can play off ball. And it's the crucial moments like this. Shea was tired a couple of games ago. They were putting him in action over and over again. The head coach with the OKC Thunder, he said, man, you know what? I'll take Shea out the matchup. Let's put in Alex Caruso. He can bring the ball up the court. This is what he did with the Los Angeles Lakers. This is what he did with the Chicago Bulls. You're giving Shea more of a rest. You're not running your offense through Alex Caruso. He's just bringing the ball up the court. He just hands it off to J-Dub because he could take those hits over and over again. The one thing about the Indiana Pacers, they're going to full court press you the entire time. And this is what they did against Donovan Mitchell. They wore him down. This is what they did against Jalen Brunson. They wore him down. They were doing this against Shea, but they realized J-Dub can bring the ball up the court the same with Alex Caruso. Give the ball up to those guys, especially Alex Caruso, who is a veteran, who's been here before. Bring the ball up the court. They want to put you in action. We're okay with that. We'll live with that. You're one of our best defenders. You're one of the best defenders in the NBA. If you want to put Lou Dort in action, hey, go out there and put Lou Dort in action, who had 9 points in tonight's matchup, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Every single player with the OKC Thunder that gets big-time minutes so far this postseason, they're all good defenders. You get borderline say they're great defenders. And they're playing that passing lane over and over again. It's going to be tough as hell for them to beat Indiana once again on the road. But if it's the team that can do so, it'll be the OKC Thunder. But this was a very good basketball game. This has been a very good series so far. But let me know in the comment section below who you have winning this series, the OKC Thunder or the Indiana Pacers. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.